Welcome to the Your Opinion Doesn't Matter podcast. I am the host, Mr. Lamont, and I'm here with a good friend of mine.
Yes, indeed.
Mr. Rickey Rivers.
No doubt. Thank you, man. Thank you for having me, Chant.
How are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. It's a good Sunday, good weather outside. Birthday is just a week away, so I'm getting excited for all of those things, man. And today is like the PSAL Catholic event that I'm looking forward to go seeing some kids I know that I've watched and developed and seen. So I'm looking forward to that.
Right. You're hoping the PSL take that win.
Yo, I don't want to be on record for that, but I'm cheering for them kind of like because there's some kids on the Catholic school that I'm good with too. So, but there's more kids on that public school rosters that I'm comfortable with. So,
Right.
I just want to see the young men go out and play at their best ability today.
Right. Like a dollar in a dream. You know what I mean? Just hope for whoever win. You know what I mean?
No doubt, man. But but I am going to say I got a little side vote for Jeff. I want to see those cats do well.
Right. I seen a couple. Actually, the coach, I think it's the head coach. He used to play for boys and girls.
Yep, he played for boys and girls, and him and Selden both played at West Virginia.
Yeah, Selden. He played West Virginia with
He
Selden?
played at West Virginia, yep. So they may have been a few years apart, but they both played there, so they're Mountaineers, and I'm glad that they come back and develop that program the way they've done. I've watched them kind of like do it from the ground up and been there in front seat. So I got a different connection to that program.
Nice. Let's get into our history, man.
Yep. Let's
get into our history. You know, how old were we when we met?
So you know what? I don't know exactly the year, but I know it's been a long time. It's like from the kind of like the beginning stages of me running this program. I've started FunSport back in 1999 officially, but I think I started doing the programs back in 98. And I've just seen a lot of faces. So date, but I know it's been a while. I know it was way before the grades. I know that.
Right. Now I'm saying when we met.
Yes.
We met in high school.
Oh, yes, in E Hall. I'm sorry. I think he was talking about playing the program. Yes, in high school. Correct.
Yeah, we're going to get into when your teams in the program used to beat up on my teams. But we talk about like when we met. Yeah. Like I believe we was juniors. What year you graduated?
I graduated in 1990.
Yeah, we both graduated in 90.
I was in the class of 1990 at Erasmus, which is the toughest class in the city. So
Right. Who else was there?
The better team that we had was when we were the year before that, which was 89, when we had Crawford, Simmons, and those guys. We made the playoffs that year. The year that I came out, so I had Brent Donation that was on the team with me. Desmond, Ira Gibbs, Clyde, all of those guys. Those was my guys in high school.
What about Fish?
Fish was the year before that, man. Fish didn't play as much. You know, Fish jokingly, I always joke with him, he used to run around for SGO. Remember, Fish was for president of student government.
Right.
Man, Fish was much slimmer, man. Fish was a goldfish at that time. Now you're a big boy. Now you're a big whale.
Yeah. And what Paul Cruz, he was just window shopping.
Paul Cruz was my guy, man. He come up there with the dogs and everything, man. He had about 4 pit bulls. They was all the same height, him and his brothers. The pit bulls and his brothers was about the same height.
Right. Dope.
But those is my guys, man. Paul Cruz, the granddaddy, shout him out.
Yes, facts. Shout out to the Cruz brothers, my guys, man. They've been ducking to coming on the show, man. They've been ducking, man.
I gotta talk. It was probably Norris, man. And Norris be the one that put it all together. He don't live in town no more, so you got to get a flight in.
Marky live out of town.
Marky.
Marky's the head honcho for them.
Marky, my fault.
So let's talk about how we met, right? We met at a basketball program called Vanguard.
Yes, okay. That is true, yeah.
And our coach was Gil Reynolds, man.
Yeah, Gil, just the story of how I met Gil. Gil was very, very, I want to say very impactful in my life, man. Mr. Bunyan, who was our coach at Erasmus, there was during a time where I wasn't playing that much because I was doing things I probably shouldn't have. He said, well, you need to go down to this program and try out. He sent me down to A. Philip Randolph to try out for Vanguard. And I went down there, and Gil was just like a coach that I hadn't seen before, man. How he put the thing together, his intensity, his everything that he did, from things that he was talking about during, and there was other players out there. And I think that was probably one of my first, I would say, serious tryouts going to go play for another team.
Right.
I only played for my school team and some local teams to that point. But I just always liked how he held it down. He was a general, he was a sergeant. And he kind of like seen something in me that I ain't seeing in myself at that tryout for the first time, man. So I had a connection with Gil, and Gil, as we talked, you know that Gil was very, much a part of who I became today.
Right. Gil, he's a special guy, man.
Special guy,
Man. I mean, I remember the practices that we used to have, man. He would make you not like your friends, kid, because like forget about it. You're not supposed to get hit with a screen. He's like, to put them elbows out. Yep. Put those elbows out.
Go with the elbows high.
Yeah, elbows high.
Elbows high.
He was no joke, man. He was no joke. I remember a time. Let me see if you remember. I know you got plenty of stories. I remember a time we was playing in Gaucho's Round Classic. Uh-huh. We was down. This was our junior year. Both of us our junior year, and we was down at half by like 12 or 15. So we go into the locker room. So the locker room is shaped like a U. Mm-hmm. So we all go into the U, right? And it's probably like 10 of us or something like that. And the assistant coach came in first. What was his name?
Tony Noel.
How he doing?
Tony's doing good, man. He works down in New Jersey right now. So I think he's living in New Jersey right now.
Okay, cool. When you speak to him, tell him he probably can remember me. I wasn't like that on that squad. So we sitting in the halftime down by 12. And Tony comes in. He's just talking to us like, yeah, y'all, blah, 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 blah. 5 minutes later, Gil come in. He closed the door behind him. And he said, what the fuck y'all doing? What y'all doing? And then he said, in my, he's blocking the door. He says, I'll turn this light off and I'll fuck all of y'all up. You remember? You got more.
I probably don't remember that. But I'm not surprised, though, because there's so many of those stories.
He says, I'll fuck you up and you get your father, I'll fuck him up too. I said, whoa, shucks, man. Yo, kid, I ain't gonna lie. I know my father couldn't beat him for sure. I think he's kicking a majority of us at that time, fathers asked, we'd have had to jump him. You know what I mean? Yeah, but he was a good guy. What kind of stories that you remember? I heard a story with you.
So it's so many. So Gil kind of like took me under his wing, right? Yeah. So the one story that always lights up with me is because you said we playing in the Golden Hoops, we playing at the Gaucho's gym. Mm-hmm. We're playing against, I forgot the Aim High. We're playing against Aim High. Uh-huh. It was a close game. James Brickhouse, I remember, was on the other side. Close game, tight game down the stretch, right? And Chris Skyes, maybe I shouldn't have said his name, but I guess he must have missed a rebound or something like that. Mm-hmm. Something happened that Chris did, and that wasn't like Chris was a big, strong guy, and he must have didn't do something right.
On our team, the light skin kid.
Yes. Uh-huh. So he comes sit down. And we sit down on the bench right there at Gaucho's gym on the far corner. Chris is in the middle. I know I'm right next to Chris, and I forget who's next over. Gil turns his back. He has his back to us as we're sitting down on a timeout, and then turns around and gets on his knee and takes his two fingers and slaps Chris right across the face.
Oh, shit.
He slaps Chris with his two fingers right across the face, right next to me. And I remember moving over like,
you didn't want that
word. He said, and flinched. He said, flinch. He did it with his right hand. He said, flinch. Flinch if you want to. The left is coming right across your jaw. The left is coming right across your jaw. And Chris was a strong, muscular guy. And we like, holy snaps. Like, this guy just hit Chris across the face type joint. He said, flinch. And he said, you're playing soft. And you got to toughen up. Don't go out there playing soft. And then I understood the message, but the delivery at the first was like, whoa.
Oh, man.
And then we went and won that game. We went in there and won that game, which is tough. But that's my Gil moment, along with him hitting Kenneth Percival with an elbow and busting his whole mouth up. He had to go get stitches and on Woodhaven Boulevard. So there's a lot of them. But I also have good moments where Gil used to work out. Well, I used to play at Erasmus, and I averaged like 30 points in my senior year. Mm-hmm. Gil was the responsible for that. I used to go to every practice. After every practice, I used to leave Erasmus and go over to Jackie Robinson program in Bed-Stuy and shoot with him, drill with him, and train with him. Mm-hmm. And I remember that one game that kind of a good part of the Gil is that we had that big matchup against Prospect Heights, and it was Donald Taylor against Rickey Rivers in that matchup, and Donald was averaging a lot of points, and so was I. And we put on the show that time. But he kind of like prepared me for how to work against that game. And Donald had 47, but I had 42 in a boxing one. So those guys, Prospect Heights, you remember, they guys played boxing one of me most of the time, and I had 40.
Nice.
But I remember coming back to him after that game when I had to come back to the gym even after that game and go through drills and go through shooting. Even after that, I was like, yo, I can't get the day off. We were still work, and he was. But I could see that he was real proud of how I performed that.
Gil, he's special, man. But and he's like, he's caring. He cares. He love hard, and he's gonna hit you.
If you got to know him that well, yes, he was definitely a caring guy.
If you was one of his guys, he's gonna treat you right. You right.
I was one of the pets.
Yeah. Yo, I remember that basketball camp we went to.
Which one? Because he took me to one of Canisius up in Buffalo. That was by himself. I don't remember which one of you.
I think it was Anthony Mason's. I think it was in Virginia. And you're probably gonna remember this. This is probably the only gym you ever played basketball with carpet on the floor.
Yeah,
how many gyms? You did that a lot?
So we played at there's a couple of Boys and Girls Club downtown Brooklyn that I came back to used to have carpet on the floor.
Oh, okay.
And there's a Salvation Army in Brownsville that used to have carpet on the floor. I never understood carpet on the floor for basketball.
Me neither.
But I remember a couple of those gyms.
Yeah, I remember. That's the camp that we went to. I'm for sure. I remember you was there. It was the only time I ever played with carpet. The first and last time.
Yeah, carpet in the gym is different. You know what I mean? Because ain't no slide diving on the floor. For
no way.
Balls.
Carpet burns.
Or the carpet. But,
yeah, I didn't understand it though. I didn't see the science in it really. Maybe get your dribbling better. Maybe I don't know.
I don't understand it, but I remember Gil taking me, which was very helpful to my career. He took me by himself up to Buffalo, cold as heck in the middle of the summer, and to a Canisius camp. And that was my first exposure to Division I colleges and Division I coaches, I would say. And they was at that point, this was like I was in high school. It's like, yo, you really have potential to play Division I basketball. And they was interested in me, Canisius. I didn't get an offer from them, but they did show me, by them giving me that feedback, it told me that I was on the right path.
Gave you the push. It told
me I was on the right path. That was been between my junior and senior year.
Nice. So did you ever go to Laurinburg?
I never went to Laurinburg. A lot of stories come out of Laurinburg prep. Gil used to share those stories with me.
Right.
I used to share stories with family and friends because he coached my cousin Juice, Anthony Joseph, out there too. Mm-hmm. So he would tell me stories, but I never made the journey down to Laurinburg. When I got connected with Gil, it was on the back end of his years, and he was pretty much here in the city.
So that was him? He was coaching Laurinburg?
Yeah, Gil used to coach Laurinburg. He coached a lot of players down there, man. He took a lot of players down to Laurinburg prep. I don't know if the resources was that great, but he was definitely down there. He used to tell me a whole lot of stories along with other players that was down there. So it was a lot of people that got a beginning and got started down there in Laurinburg.
Right. And me seeing you evolve into the great basketball player that you became, and you took your skills on the road. Where did you wind up going after high school?
So Gil kind of set this up. This is what Gil was very helpful to me after my high school career in 1990. I thought that was the best class in the city, I believe. My recruiting wasn't that big. I mean, Erasmus coaches did. I was in the first year of Victor Butler. They didn't help me as much. So, but I remember this is like yesterday. Gil told me about Lamar, Colorado. It was a junior college out in Colorado. Mm-hmm. He brought the coach. They flew the coach all the way in to watch me play 3-on-3 and do workouts in Kelly Park. So the coach came all the way. There was a guy from Gil that was already. I knew nothing about Colorado or Lamar. I knew nothing about it. Right. All I remember telling this guy who's my guy right now, actually Coach Hoshaver, is one of the better coaches that I ever played for. Honestly, I want to give him his flowers. I didn't know him. All I told him, I said, hey, I never know nothing about Colorado, and if I'm gonna go, I need somebody to go with me. And my friend was Kaheen Draper at the time that played at Automotive. And I was like, we both need to go. He's my roommate because I don't know what I'm going into, but I'll go into it with him. So I signed the letter of intent on some old car right there at Kelly Park. Right. Didn't even, I ain't have none of my family, no mom, no father there. I just trusted Coach Gil Reynolds to kind of like set me on this journey, and signed the letter of intent and went out to Colorado and kind of like that's where my whole game evolved and took off, man. If I had tapes of me playing in Colorado, I think it's better than any film that I had from the other.
Nice.
I had some amazing games out there in Colorado in front of college coaches, and showed a lot of potential for in front of Division I coaches. And then after that, I had a baby, and so I came close to home. I decided I was going to leave Colorado, which had a lot of opportunity for me, and I went to FIT for a year. So I went to FIT for a year. Led them to like number 15 in the nation, became an All-American in JUCO, and then had an option, and this is where the transition happened between Gil and Mr. Couch, who runs the Dykeman organization. Once I came out, I started playing college ball. I started to play with Mr. Couch, and Mr. Couch kind of like took over with my recruiting and everything, and he said, hey, look, since you want to stay here in New York, because I had a kid, he said, the only option that I have for you is either going to be St. John's or Iona. I was like, well, Iona had some interest in me out of high school. I had some familiarity with them, and St. John's had just signed Felipe. He was like, we'll take you. But, it's like I was going back up Felipe, and as a junior going into college, I didn't want to do that. Right. So the head coach used to always, of Iona, who was Jerry Welsh at the time, used to always come to all my games and call me just about at least 2 or 3 times a week. He would call me to check on. I liked that Jerry Welsh, what he was doing, because he was always checking on my family, my wife. He was checking on my kid. He knew I was a recent father, and he was asking. He was always connecting me with that. So I went to Iona. I had to sit out a year before I could play, because I didn't graduate from FIT. So I sat out a year. That sit-out year was very difficult for me because I had a second kid. I had a second kid during the time that I sat out.
Oh, okay.
So I had 2 daughters at the time. So rather than really working out and training, I was most of my time, because I couldn't practice with the team, I was just parenting. I was playing ball every now and then, but I was parenting. So when we finally came to be in my turn, and I was the starter and I was the top recruit going in, I wasn't fully prepared because I was successful in every level with JUCO. Mm-hmm. I wasn't as fully prepared in some of those games as I should have been. Timing was off. Things is off. So I started the first 18 games, and then they started to push me to the bench because I wasn't producing like I should. Okay. But to know that, though, is the other part of the caveat to tell the story, is that people don't understand that I commuted by train from Sunset Park, Brooklyn, all the way to New Rochelle every day. So when we had 6:30, 7 o'clock a.m.s, I was on the train. I was on a 4:30 a.m. Metro North, and then walking a mile from the Metro North down to Iona, so a lot of the times I was just exhausted.
Right.
I was exhausted with the commute, doing homework, because I did my homework on the trains, and then getting home to a 2-year-old and a newborn, and then having a wife too that that you got, if you're in a relationship, you know how all of that takes. So my college experience, to be documented right now, I never complained about it, never really talked about it, but my college experience was different from everybody else on my team. Right. They didn't have to, after a game, we play a 7:30 game on TV, and we packing it up at 10 o'clock, and I got to get to a Metro North. They going across the street to the dorms. I'm getting on the Metro North, then getting on the 4 train to arriving home like 1 a.m., only to get it turned right back around to get to class by 8:30 or 9 a.m. So sometimes I was able to stay up there because it was too much of a struggle, but his wife's like, yo, come home. I got 2 kids.
Oh, wow.
So that's something that everybody don't know about my experience, because you know what, now people will Google, damn, you only average like 8 points. Bro, you got to understand my struggle, how I was getting to those 8 points.
Right. You had a bigger responsibility.
Yeah, bigger responsibility, man. Yeah, man. How to just get there and get it done. But hey, I wouldn't take nothing back, man. It built character, it built some things of me that I needed as an adult.
Right. That's good to hear, man. Good to hear. I didn't know that story. I know the people out there would love to hear that.
Yeah, because it might motivate somebody else who's listening. A young kid might need that. I try to share it with some kids who I coach now, and that's probably the reason why I coach. And I don't want to jump ahead, but that's the reason why I coach now, is that I think there's layers to my story that I could kind of like push on to young people. That's perseverance and all that other stuff. It's like, ain't no excuses in this game, man. If you really want it, you got to go. You don't make no excuses if you really want it.
That's a fact. So then during them times, right, on the come up, what tournaments was you in before high school?
I didn't really play it like in high. I didn't really play in many like local street tournaments as much in Brooklyn. I played in high energy as a young kid. I remember playing there in Wingate. I played in some little small stuff, but most of the stuff that I always played in, I was working out or playing in some real structured stuff.
Right.
I started to play with Gil. Gil would take me to some places. He had me playing in some local stuff. I remember High Energy a lot because that was one of the tournaments that Gil always played in.
Right.
Tony Noel would play in the 6 foot and under in the same park. So we always got stuff playing in there. Played at St. Peter Clavis. So there's some experiences.
Oh, so you played at Clavis?
Yeah, I played at St. Peter Clavis some time with Gil. Played a lot in Queens and Lost Battalion Hall. Most of the times that I think that's now that I have good relationships with some of those guys in Queens. When you talk about the Kenny Andersons, Kenny Smiths, the Jason Williams, we used to work out heavy at Lost Battalion Hall. Those workouts at Lost Battalion Hall, it would be Gil and his developmental guys that included me. There's like blue collar guys. And then you have Vincent Smith, which is Kenny Smith's brother, on the other side of the court training with all the stars. He had Kenny Anderson over there. He had Jason Gilliam over there. He had the Steve Fraziers, the Abdul Fox. He had all of these guys that were D1 players. They all became major D1 players too. You know, Kenny Anderson is easy story. So you would be on this side, and then later after the workouts, they would just merge them. We would just hoop and play. So this was all I got an opportunity to be in that position through Gil to play against those guys and build relationships to like my guy Rich Ashmead. Every time I go to Phoenix, he still pop out and we connect type joint. And it's all that we met through those workouts and those training sessions and everything. And so I still got some good relationships with those guys to today. And I thank Gil for those experiences because it helped me level up to where I needed to be at.
And you know one thing about Gil? We never practiced full court.
Nah, everything was right. You're right.
Never practiced full court.
Everything was half court.
Everything. Never. Only time we saw full court is game time.
Yep. Man, because I got a lot of those workouts. If I didn't play for Gil Reynolds, I would not be a Division I player. I would have never played Division I basketball. I would have been lost in this process, and I know how easy it is, and it's easier now for a young kid to get lost in the process. But now you got social media. You can kind of push yourself a little bit more. But at that time, there was no social media. If Tom Kishowski or somebody didn't evaluate you and write about you, it was tough. And I remember going to a workout at 275 that had a lot of players in it. And Tom Kishowski was there giving everybody a grade and a rating. And Gil put me in position to be in that workout. And I did my thing at that point. You know what I mean? Tom Kishowski rated me a 4-, I remember. And that 4- to me was like, oh, I'm on route.
Right.
Because I seen some other players who got that 4-, and I was like, oh, he's getting recruited by Division I. So if he's a 4-, then I'm a Division I player. I just need to get in front of the right people with the right opportunity to get me there.
Right. So we lost contact for a little bit, and then I resurfaced with my nonprofit in 2007. And so by then I was just tutoring, so forth and so on. And then by 2010, I said, I had a group of kids. I said, yeah, man. I said, yo, I want to get them in the tournament. I was speaking to different people. They say, yo, why don't you put them in Rick's tournament? Rick, who's Rick? Rick Rivers. I said, Rick Rivers went to E Hall? I mean, that's the only Rick Rivers there is, basically. They said, that's my guy. I said, yo, let me get his number, blah, blah, blah. Let me get his information. And then all of a sudden, I wind up bringing my kids to your tournament. I forgot the location. I brought my kids to 2 separate locations. Which one you had?
Sunset Park.
Sunset.
Boise. I've been around with this thing. At the highest peak, it was probably at Thomas Jefferson High School. Sunset Park, I had things going there too. BRC. BRC was a stop. So I'm not sure which stop that you.
Oh, so you had a lot of stops. One thing I know is that my kids was the guinea pigs, man. Because what it is, I was more or less teaching kids who didn't really have that, who's not making the major teams, just developing kids. You know, I'm giving them something to look forward to. Let's go to this tournament over here and get shellacked over there, or go over here and get a little bit of, But I didn't know how strong your tournament was. I'm like, dang, your tournament. I remember a time I brought the team there, and your team came. A team that we supposed to play was late, and you said, "Yo, you could take the W, or you could wait." Right? So, and I asked the kids, but I knew already that these kids already got smacked around like pie. The last tournament, the last game that we was at. So I said, you know what? They said, "Yo, let's play." All right. And at that time, them kids was just coming back from Vegas tournament. Soon as then next thing you know, they like 10 minutes late, they running in the park. I remember once they did the layup line, their point guard dribbled the ball off the ground and he'd give himself an alley and dunked it with two hands. Boom! I said, oh, shoot, y'all going to get cooked. and mind you, no player on my team could dunk. And their point guard was dunking. So imagine what the rest of them was doing. And it was an experience that these kids, of course, they lost. But just tell me, how did you wind up going that direction into tournaments and becoming a coach? I mean, I know you love the game, but what made you transition to there?
So background, I started FunSport with just unlimited stuff, right? So I used to do my college joint in the pro league. In 2004, I believe it's 2004, I felt like I needed to get younger. We created this junior pros, this middle school thing, and I had access to nice uniforms. I was going to roll out these dope uniforms to these kids for a weekend event. And I was able to, through my guy Kamani Young, kind of get Team Next, which was the number one 8th grade team in the country at that time. I got them locked in. I got a few other teams locked in, Brooklyn USA, who was big at the time, Gauchos. So I had a nice opening for a middle school thing. Now, middle school basketball in 2004 wasn't popular like that. Right. It was not popular. I was basically going to take off, and I think I just had this vision, was like, hey, you know what? Everything around in New York City basketball is either unlimited or IS-8. IS-8 was the biggest ticket in town. Right. I said, but before they get to IS-8, these kids got to be doing something. And I honed in on middle school basketball. A lot of times, people like the Team Next, they had to travel outside of the city to really get those type of events. Wow. So I created something called FunSport Junior Pros, and I was going to kind of have a concept where we check report cards, and we did everything to prepare middle school kids for the high school process. Nice. And it jumped off kind of well, man. So that's what kind of really springboarded the joint. I was already had relationships with Nike, so I already had some eyeballs on my programs already because of the things I was doing on the pro side of it. And then the middle school thing just jumped right off. My first thing for that weekend, I think it was a Thanksgiving tournament, jumped off real easy, real quick. And then we started to piggyback off it. I just grew the program. I sat down with, if you know Tippy at the time, brought Tippy in. It was like, Tippy, these are the things, I like what you do. I need to be the check and balances, and I want to just grow this thing because I think we could do something special here with middle school kids. And then I started having championship games. The first one was at the Garden. I had the championship game at the Garden. Nice. And then once I had it the second time, then I have shoe companies get involved in it. It just started to become bigger and bigger, and you kept on adding pieces to it. So where I had like a preseason, I had so many teams that wanted to get in it. I would have a preseason tournament to evaluate the teams to decide which 36 or 32 teams I was going to take into the main tournament to play at the Garden, or as later became the Barclays. I had teams come from Canada to kind of come in and play type joint. So I had teams that was coming from all over. So at one point, people were writing about that I held the biggest middle school tournament on the East Coast, right? Right. So that's how the youth stuff started, and from that, because everybody couldn't play in that, I started to create other little things for kids to be a part of if they couldn't be a part of the bigger event type thing. So next thing you know, I was running maybe 6, 7, 8 tournaments at one time, and sometimes in a year. So I did a lot of stuff over the course of the year, because I was in a year, over the course of me just doing this stuff, I've done a lot of events, a lot of things, and sometimes I look back on those joints, was like, you did man, I've done. Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about it at the time. You in it, you just go. Then next thing you know, there's another one that you're preparing for, right? And you don't even reflect like, dang, you know what? That was dope. Right. Social media wasn't buzzing, but I was probably the only one with a website though.
Right. So you could basically say that you was like the first one who brought middle school basketball to New York.
I don't know that for sure to really make a statement, but I think on a big scale, I was probably the biggest to do it. Now they have other programs that are definitely doing well. When you look at what May Hoops is doing, Conrad McRae's joint. I mean, Conrad McRae was only in the summertime, but they had a nice buzz going too with their tournament. But just middle school basketball at this peak, I still don't believe it's too many programs that competed with what we did.
And so when did you start high school? When did you do the high school?
So the high school stuff started after the middle school. I really didn't want to compete in the high school space because I thought IS-8 had the lock on it. But as once I started getting at Jeff, I started running programs at Jeff, and my middle school stuff started bubbling so much that the middle school kids from that experience wanted to see me continue.
Graduate and grow with
they
you.
graduate. So I kind of like started to create this high school thing because I said I had all the top middle school kids. There was no way I couldn't have all the top because I had the programs I had the relationships with. So we started in the high school space, which became very competitive at some time between me and ISA. There was a time that I could think back on, and I love Pete, that's my guy. But there was one point where he was having his playoffs and I was having my playoffs. And there was people that was leaving both gyms to kind of like bounce back, whatever. I remember that I had Zach Randolph with the Maybach, with the Bentley in the front at Jeff waiting. We waited like an hour or so for a game because out of respect for Pete, he had something going. We waited an hour or so in the gym for his game to finish, and just a whole big crowd left there, came to Jeff. So I like when we was doing the high school stuff, it was big. I mean, we had Kimber, Irv, Truck, all of them on one team at one point. That created a nice buzz for the high school thing. So you had like 4 All-Americans on one team. And so people would come out and see that. The place would be packed, had some good energy, man. And, you know, the one thing that's cool that I say is that what's my guy, Russ Smith. If you remember him playing in high school, Russ Smith used to get buckets at Malloy. And somebody asked him not long ago during COVID, I think it was Tiny. He said, yeah, of all the things that you had, you done played at San Antonio, you done played at Louisville. What is the best experience that you've had in basketball? They asked Russ Smith that. Now, this Russ Smith done played pros. He done played with Rick Pitino. He done played all over. He said, yo, the best experience I ever had in basketball. And he paused on it and he said, yo, I remember playing in FunSport and they gave me a poster after I had 63 points. And I had that poster on my wall for the longest type joint.
Nice.
So when I heard that during COVID, which was not long ago, and that type of reflection, it kind of like took me back to like, damn, we were really doing some impactful stuff, giving people posters of themselves to hang in their wall. There's some grown folks to the day that tell me they still got their poster in their room.
Nice. I remember I used to have posters of Patrick Ewing. You remember we used to have the life-size posters? Yeah. I had the life-size of Patrick Ewing.
And I just took that concept and just because I had a plug and I just said, yo, let me do that of the kids in my tournament.
Oh, you did it similar?
Yeah.
Same height type thing?
So I used to get a highlight. I used to get a picture of you doing something great in the game. And I used to come back the next week with a big old poster that you can hang in your room, and people still have that. Nice. Do you still do it FunSport?
Yeah,
I'm still doing it. Not as at the scale that I was doing it years ago because I started coaching, right? So I had coached back in, maybe I started coaching in like 2010 or so. I was teaching at a school in Liberation in Coney Island. They didn't really have a basketball program, so I decided to create one for them, and I created a tournament and everything. Eventually, I got us in the PSAL, and at the third year, we competed and we won a championship. I led them to the city championship in a PSL. So we won in 2014 and 2015. I led them to that championship, and after I won the championship, I left.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? I left, and somebody else took over after that. But I closed out on a good note.
Nice. That's good to hear. I've seen you on Facebook pictures with certain NBA players. Name some people that you're proud to say that you met through your travels who participated in your.
There's been so many, man. So just like I remember when I ran Fireball, I remember Rafer Alston being the first NBA guy that played in our thing to validate what we were doing at Baruch College, right? And I know Sean, my man Rod from Sean Bell, would be happy that I acknowledged that. And then from that, it would just be so many NBA players. Once that gate opened and that Fireball thing that I used to do from May to June, right before the summer season started, all the NBA guys at the end of their season, a lot of them would come down and play. So most of the Knicks, so Nate Robinson was like a staple at Fireball. He would come all the time. I think he has the record for the most points in one game against Gun Hill and my man Bob Mahoney. My bad, I ain't gonna plug you like that, Bob. So you got Nate, you had Wilson Chandler that used to be there. Ron Artest used to be there. Kimber Walker was the one who started with me in high school, went to UConn, did well, became a pro, and came back as a pro. Right, Smush Parker is another one that's been a part of that. So it's been a lot of names. Kyle Anderson graduated in the program, and I watched him as a seventh grader. Quincy Doobie. So there's a lot of guys that I could just think of. I could run off that's played in our program. Right. I like to see the ones that played when they were in middle school and high school, and then on the pro level. And that's guys like Kimber Walker that I could think of.
Right. I saw a picture you posted at the All-Star game.
Oh yeah. We was just at the All-Star game this year.
The one that just
I was there. So I was able to really support my godson who played at Tuskegee, Kasami Draper, who won the MVP in that Tuskegee game. They played against I think it was Morehouse. So I was there to really support him. But you're enjoying yourself while you out there meeting and kind of like hanging out. So I got an opportunity with him to go to the All-Star game, bump into some people that at the same time and had that experience. So it was fun down in the Bay Area. Got to hang out with my homie, the guy who I told you that I was going to go to college with, Kaheem Draper in Colorado. So
you pulled some strings to get him in there.
He may pull some strings to get me in there either way, but
no, is that the one that you said that you said the only way you would go to that school in Colorado if you bring your friends?
Yes. So I definitely wasn't gonna go if he wasn't going.
Right. I'm glad to hear your story, man. And so currently, what are you like doing now? Are you like, I know you're not really doing the FunSport or Fireball, but like, how are you? I heard you say a little bit like you do a little bit of coaching. Where are you at now with coaching?
So during the day, I teach at a charter school in the Bronx and Highbridge in the Bronx at Newasin. Next Generation Charter. I teach financial literacy and PE to high school students. From there, I leave there and I go to Canarsie High School. For the past 4 years, I've been coaching at Canarsie High School, right? Mm-hmm. And there's been growth in the program. I think since I've been there, my JV team that I'm a head coach of, we've been to the Final Four in the city. I came up a little bit short in one game against the Jada Swan, and we went to the playoffs just recently this year and lost a heartbreaker at the buzzer. Our varsity team that I'm the assistant coach at, we've been growing. The program has been growing. This year, we went to the city, the Final Four. We lost in the final minutes to a very good Bronx Eagle team. Mm-hmm. So there's been some steady growth in the program, and since I've been in part of it, and hopefully, we continue to turn the corner. Coaching has been one of those things that allowed me to kind of pass it on and pay it forward, and then running my programs at Tillery Park. During the summertime.
Oh, you still over there?
I'm still in Tillery Park now. So I've been there. I've been in Tillery Park now for, I want to say, 10? I'll say 10 to 12 years I've been in Tillery Park.
Yeah, because I remember me bringing the kids there. Yeah. I was at Tillery and we was getting beat up in both tournaments. Yeah. Whatever tournaments you have, we was getting beat up in.
So I hold the keys there to the Tillery Park right now. So I look forward to doing that every summer, making it fun, giving the kids a safe and a positive place to play. A nice atmosphere to play in. So, man, my thing is I just try to pay it forward because it's somebody, like as we talked about, people still, they've done it for me. They've allowed me to sit in the seat and to talk about myself and to talk about the things that I've done. It's been because of coaches, some of the coaches the Gil Reynolds, the Jim Couches, who's kind of like believed and set the example for me, man.
Right. Just a little fun now. We're not gonna say no names here, but it's like, the reason why I wanted to, do an interview with you is because I'm like, I was part of your journey, right? And what it is that it's not just basketball, the basketball players, what you've done outside of the game. I liked what you did. I'm like, wow, you transitioned. And, there's a lot of times people talk about basketball and debate or who was good and all that. No, we don't need to talk about who was good. What are you doing after the game?
Yeah.
Well, how are you contributing after the game? But then there was a person that I thought it was blasphemy that he was heckling you. Anytime you write something, I'm like, yo, I mean, that's my guy too. But man, we're gonna be nameless.
We're gonna say nameless.
He's my guy too. He's your guy too. But I'm like, and then he would say something like Gil Reynolds, but I'm like, yo, I was there. He wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? So
mental illness at an all-time high. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like if you go to Erasmus right now, Rickey Rivers' name is on a banner hanging with his number retired. So there's something that I did that was impactful to make them kind of like pull me. There's some other names and numbers that they've joined, but there's something that I did that says, hey, you did something that needs to be acknowledged. Right. That other person that's nameless, you can't find none of this stuff and nowhere the history of it. And I'm not saying that guy who played with me wasn't a decent player.
Right.
But to attack what I did, it just sounds kind of like crazy. To even compare it, it's just even like no comparison.
It's very lopsided.
There's no comparison to it. I've been in a lot of rooms, played with a lot of people, competed, and I'm done. I'm not even going backwards. I'm done. So that comparison, like, come on, bro. Like you don't. when I see it, it's like, okay, why are you trying to nudge me? You know why you're trying to nudge me? Because you know that I was a good player.
But you know what's funny is you replying to it. That's what makes me laugh. I'm like, yo, why is he even? And I'm like,
no, because it'd be too many people call. I guess it gets too many ears, and people keep nudging me to have a comment. So when I see it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have fun. First, it was for fun.
Right.
It was definitely a joke. It was definitely for fun. I thought we were in like this joke stage, and then I was like, no. I think he's really serious. He's serious. Like he really believes in what he's typing right now. So
yeah, I remember a time I kept going. I was reading the comments. I was like,
I just needed to dispute that. I was like, nah, bro. Like come on, man. Ain't nobody that played there or see it going kind of like But you got some other people in chat that didn't even see it. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't there during that time. Maybe they came up later when I look at some of the people that was in that chat.
Right.
The people that was there, they know the reals.
They know.
They know the reals. They know what it was.
Yeah, man, that's good.
He ain't got that many receipts. He got only receipts that he manufactured. He ain't got no real receipts.
Yeah, and you got Photoshop.
Photoshop. You got all of those things that you could do, but I know what's real.
Right,
Rickey Rivers averaged 30 points a game in that senior year, and he has the most points for many in one season than many other people have had. Not very few people have had at Erasmus, and that person can't say that.
Nice. Hey.
I always tell cats.
I concur.
You got to be nice when you're supposed to be nice, because some people wait till like 40 and over, or they wait till 50 and over to try to. That's not when you're supposed to be nice. Nobody's recruiting you then. Nobody's recruiting you then. That's not when you're supposed to be nice. When you're supposed to be nice at high school, that's when you're supposed to be nice.
Right.
If you wasn't that, don't talk to me at 40, 50. Y'all.
Yeah, you're trying out for the senior center.
Yeah, I want to hear what you're doing at BRC. I don't want to hear that. It's over.
Right. We both got love for him, but he's gonna see his real. He's
nice
gonna know
when you're supposed to be nice.
Good. That's a good one. Be nice when you're supposed to be nice.
When you're supposed to be nice, yo. Don't wait till 40 and over.
Yeah,
when you're supposed
man.
to be nice. That's
Shit. I mean, or you live vicariously through your own child.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Whatever. And that's okay.
Father figure. Mm-hmm. What's going on with your family?
So, man, so that's I like to talk about my daughters. I think I have the best family structure that I can have, right? So just knowing that I started my journey young. So when I was in FIT, I had a kid, actually in Colorado. I had my first daughter, her name is Rickey Rivers, in 1991, born in January. My wife and I got married when I was 19 years old. In that August of 91, we got married. And then in 1993, we have another daughter while I'm in Iona at that time, at Andrea Rivers in 1993. So my journey as being a parent came alongside my journey of playing basketball. It was married together. So there's been some roller coasters with basketball, but there's been a steady incline, I would say, with me being a parent and me being a father and being a husband at home type joint, right? So my daughters now, the fruit of that is my daughters, and now my oldest one, she's an executive. She's a VP at Goldman Sachs, right? Nice. She graduated with a chemical biological engineer degree, which is not something that's easy. She went to NYU, got a degree, and she's working as a VP in Goldman Sachs. My youngest, who came right behind her, is a lawyer now. She does antitrust law. She graduated from Howard, went to American, and she's now a lawyer. So they both have very competitive and careers that I like to say that as a dad, I'm responsible for and molding them because I've been there since zero. I wasn't an absentee father. I wasn't a child support father. I was an every night, every day type of father, right? So seeing my daughters climb to get to that point, knowing the sacrifices that I had to make in terms of playing basketball, do I do it or do I not? I chose to kind of like stay solid and be a father rather than try to go overseas and do something, because that's what they asked me. Why you didn't go overseas? I could have played Division I, but that wasn't the choice that I was going to make. Just like why couldn't I have gone to another university that recruited me? When I was in Iona, I got interest from Kentucky, Washington State, Duquesne. There was a number of them but they were all outside of New York. So I took no interest from those things. And Kentucky came in because people would think that I'm joking about this. We played at Odessa at junior, and I was like first team all tournament. And I had very good games against South Plains and Odessa with Rick Pitino and his crew watching because they were recruiting Rodney Dent. So I had a lot of interest from him too as well. They would constantly ask about me. But I chose to be a parent in all those things. Throughout the whole thing, I said, nah, I'm going to stay solid. What people may not know is that Iona, when things were getting so frustrated and I was going through this challenge of being a parent versus a player, we were going to Notre Dame the next day. We was going to fly on the flight to Notre Dame, and I called the athletic director and said, I'm going to quit. I'm going to stay home. I remember my daughter was sick at the time, and it just felt like I should be home, and I was frustrated about how the coaches was using me and my playing time as a senior. So I chose to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to stay home. And I really wanted to play the Notre Dame game because I had 2 friends on the other side that we had circled the game to play. But I choose not to show up because I didn't like how the coaches was handling me in that situation. And I know I couldn't change their mind, even though the players had a meeting with them to talk about me. So parenting, I've always prioritized that. I like my kids to know because they don't always understand some of the decisions I make, to be there for them rather than chase this basketball thing that's kind of like always been behind me or always been with me. But I always chose to kind of like be a parent. And I've always told them the best holiday of the whole year is Father's Day. So they know that.
Right. And that's a level of maturity that I give you, is that even to hear that the sacrifices you made, but one thing is like, it's interesting is that you was married at a young age.
Married at a young age, bro. I've been married.
That's that throwback.
I'm still there too. I'm still in it. I've been married going on 34 years now, 33 and a half.
Nice. That's rare.
That's rare. That's rare. I'm
a young father. I'm not a young father, a young husband at that.
So just think, a young husband that's playing Division I basketball. You know what I mean? So you black, I'm not an ugly guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm playing Division I basketball. So it's opportunities there, and I'm doing my best to deflect.
Right.
Those opportunities that's there. Boom, especially in college, man.
They throwing themselves,
But
good defense.
But because of how I was set up, it was somewhat easier because after games, I'm going straight home. I'm not even living on campus.
Right.
I don't even live on campus, so I'm a ghost really for the most part. After games, I'm gone. You could only probably catch me at games or practices. Right. And so it wasn't that many opportunities for me to kind of like be exposed to some too many distractions types, unless you're on the road.
Right, man. I commend you on who you are and what you became and what you are continuing to thrive for, man. What's your end game?
So I don't know, like I'm trying to think about that now. Like life, like basketball has been with me for like so many years now, right? I'm about to turn 53 years old, and I'm starting to look at what the last chapter looks like. So I may kind of go back into this executive role. What I didn't share is after college, I started to work at Morgan Stanley. And so I rose up at Morgan Stanley. It was at Dean Witter Reynolds, and then became JP, then became Morgan. Dean Witter Reynolds Morgan, became Morgan Stanley after a while, and I was a manager in that space. And I was there the day of 9/11. I worked in the Trade Center. I worked in 2 World Trade Center. Right. That morning, I was working in my office, which is an interior office. So I was in the building the day that the plane hit the tower. I was there in the tower.
I was 2 blocks away, bro.
Yeah.
I was 2 blocks away, and my father owns a photo shop. He's the only black store in that neighborhood. In the lower Manhattan, and I always walked with a disposable camera. I took pictures coming out the train. I see people looking up at the first hit, the first building that got hit. Yeah, it was facing me as soon as I got out of the train. I took pictures, and that's crazy to hear that you was connected that too as well.
And it's one that you say that because when I end up making my way out, everybody was going in the stores to buy disposable cameras. I remember that everybody was trying to find disposable cameras. There was a newsstand because they had these little newsstands that used to be on Church Avenue over there, and they were buying these disposable cameras to take pictures. So I remember that part like it was yesterday. Right. But coming out of that experience kind of made me want to do more in my community and less corporate work. So my daughters and them will always ask me, Dad, do you want to go back corporate? And I was like, I don't. I want to kind of like be more attached to my community and not be restricted. But there is some thoughts right now when you ask about the last chapter, do I close it out back in this corporate space? Because I got some interest from a couple of spaces that I might consider.
All right, nice, man. It's good to hear that you're not trying to get in that wheelchair, you know.
I'm gonna keep moving, baby. I like the vacation and keep moving.
Right. It's a pleasure, man, to have you on here, man, and to talk your talk. Because I'm happy to say I was a part of your journey, and then my journey with this way, yours went that way. You know what I'm saying? But it's, you know, when I see you, it's always good, man. To see you always smiling. You got the same smile from high school.
Yep, man. I'm always going to try to be happy, man.
Yeah, you got to be happy, man.
And I'm going to try to be humble, too.
You got to be humble and be happy, man. Be happy. And also, right now, I'd like to gift you a game. This is called the Your Opinion Doesn't Matter game, right? It's named after the podcast, Your Opinion Doesn't Matter podcast. And it's the ultimate debating game for family and friends. You can get that at www.yodm.com. And I'm gifting this to you, bro.
Thank you, Robert. And I'm going to open this with my family, and we're going to try to see how we can kind of like debate because there's some intelligence within our unit. I want to see if I can come out a winner with these intelligent young ladies that I have.
Go over some of the cards.
Go over some of the cards first.
Some of them's kind of risque.
Okay,
all right. You don't want you.
I'm gonna filter. Okay, I'm gonna filter some of them, right? Especially because I got a 15-year-old son. I want him to kind of like get too much.
Yes. Definitely filter. So, how's your son doing? What's going on with your son?
So, I'm just trying to get him in the right lane, right? So I'm trying to get him. You know, teenagers these days could be a little bit challenging, right? Yeah. And he's a 15-year-old, and it's the age gap between him and my daughters is pretty big. You know what I mean? So, trying to just make sure that he knows that he raised on love. Now that I've been going through it with my daughters at an early age, I kind of understand what works and what don't work. Yeah. And I'm trying to, especially being in an environment with kids every day, I know what works and what don't work. And sometimes they want you to do more of what don't work. Yeah. And I'm like, nah, bro, we're not doing that. We're not walking across the grass. We're going to stay on the path.
Right. I hear you, man. I got a 17-year-old nephew, and I used to call him a young terrorist. He was bad all the way up to like now he's a senior. He's okay, but before in the beginning, all right. So I think that the game itself of sports is small, man. But it's about the impact you're doing after the game, man. And it's a pleasure that you came on the show to tell people, you know, you're not just an Iona player. Yeah, you're a husband, a great father. Mm-hmm. And you've been places, man, and people need to put some respect on my guy's name, Rickey Rivers, man.
I, not only have I done stuff in New York, I've done events in Dallas, I've done events in Bermuda, I've done events in Atlanta, I've done events in DC. So I've spread this brand of mine in different markets, and kind of like when I look back over 27 years, it's like, damn, I've done a lot, I've accomplished a lot, I've met a lot of people. Right. I've tried to always handle it in a humble, with some humility, and also try to handle it with some responsibility, knowing that I got people that come behind me that I want to try to mentor and do the same. Nice. Because I've grown a lot just by doing tournaments. I've learned a lot about marketing. I've learned a lot about business. I've learned a lot about other areas that they didn't teach me in school, just by running these tournaments. So it's a responsibility that go with it when you bring in communities together. So I value it, and I say thank you to everybody who supported me over 27 years, man.
Right, man. And this is the Your Opinion Doesn't Matter podcast, and we are outie.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, bro.
Appreciate it.